Everyone, and welcome to the original Next Level Gaming podcast. I am your host, Mike Mullis, aka Stinger NLG. It's a pleasure to have you guys out tonight with us. I see that the chat room already has a couple of people there, and so Sean is out this week. He's got a very bad illness, and as much as he wanted to be on with us tonight, his literal words were, "If I did it, I'd have to be doing it from the toilet." So we'd rather him not do that. But I have a very special guest. It's a pleasure for me to have him on tonight. He is the host of the Multiverse podcast. I'm sorry, Ivan, aka Anchorman 5. What's going on, man?
I'm doing fine. How about you guys tonight?
Doing great. Thanks for. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I assume the collective group will eventually respond in the chat.
Oh yeah, it looks like we've already got some people in there. That's great. So how you doing tonight? Thanks for coming on.
Oh, anytime. I actually thought I was going to go on for last week, so I felt like I was like, oh.
I know. I got that tweet and like, no, but thanks. No, it's and you know what? If you were available, we would have had to jump on anyway. So, and it's nice to have some fresh face, some fresh voice. And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody all about the Multiverse podcast and your channel?
There's not much to say about my channel per se. I'm just some guy who likes making videos and talking about junk. When it comes to the Multiverse podcast, it began as something called the VCast. It was basically kind of a social group. What happened most of the time was I would just ask random people I found either on Twitter or Facebook or really just anyone I found and said, hey, you want to do a podcast? We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And that's pretty much how that went for a good while. And then eventually with Tick Podcast, they wanted to do a comics podcast and I wanted to do a comics podcast. And so KORX Kal-El and I started the Multiverse, and it was pretty much just a comic book show. We talked about comics. We might talk about the movies featuring comic book characters, and it worked for a while. We did it as like a monthly show. It worked out pretty good. Eventually, we wanted to kind of spread it out, and so I picked up Fame Entertainment 2K, and Cal took a back seat, and eventually we merged the VCast and the Multiverse podcast into one all-encompassing comics, sports, video games kind of podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Speaking of sports, today has been an interesting day, especially if you're a Cleveland Browns fan or the five fans that Johnny Manziel has left. It's not looking good for him at all. I don't know if you saw the Dallas police report. They are opening that investigation up on him for whatever alleged incident he had with his girlfriend. It's the sad part is the guy. He's 23 years old, and in all honesty, I hope he gets his life together and gets it soon, because you've got a golden opportunity to be. He had the ability to be the franchise quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. I know it's Cleveland Browns, but you have the option. you could be the guy that turns that franchise around, that makes them relevant again, and he just pissed it all away. And I mean, I young buck like that, I hope he gets his life together, because otherwise he's going to have two very, very sad parents. So,
jeez, that puts some things in perspective. I'm turning 23 next month.
Oh, jeez. Man. And, wow. and another 5 gray hairs have grown on the old man's face. Good God. I am definitely the elder statesman. Even Sean, who is about my age, is still younger than me. I am the youngest, I am the oldest of the Next Level Gaming crew. Tells you how old I've gotten.
That's not too bad. I mean, there's a lot of people still doing the whole gig. I knew one guy. He was 57, 58 when I met him, and he was still playing Gears of War like crazy. I met him back in where was it, 2012, and he's been playing. He's been gaming ever since.
Hey,
And
there's nothing wrong with that either. But let's be clear.
oh no, there's nothing wrong with it.
I hope I'm gaming until I'm dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say. I took time off of it, and about I'd say it took about a year off, which actually screwed with my Xbox Live tenure. I'm a year behind everybody else, and I beta tested it. So uh, in that year, I don't know, I missed it. And then when the new consoles were announced, I started getting back into my old consoles because I wanted to get back into the swing of things. And so now here I am, every gaming again every night, and back to trying to relive the glory years of next level gaming. So, uh, man, it's I want to be gaming until I'm 80, 90 years old. I want to be the old grandpa in the commercials that plays with his grandkids, and but I'm teaching them all about how it used to be.
Yeah. We
So
were actually doing our pretty much daily hypothetical question, and they were playing Ark Survival Evolved, and the question started circulating, and it was, if you it's a would you rather question. Would you rather lose both your hands or go blind?
whoa,
And it was like both are absolutely terrible for gaming.
wow.
Just yeah.
Well, lose both your hands. I'm stumped. Get it? Stumped?
Literally.
No, I honestly, I don't know. That would be a very interesting question to try to ponder. I mean, at least with losing your hands, there's a possibility of prosthetics. Being blind, I mean, that's very rare that you can get your sight back.
Yeah, but I don't think there's any prosthetics out, well, at least in the next 10 years, that would allow you to have the dexterity to actually play a video game.
This is true. Enrique in the chat room from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast, he's saying lose hands. He's saying no hands you can use Connect. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So anybody else in the chat room who wants to answer that question, we'll read it on the air here. So I had a couple things I wanted to go over, and some these are more thought provoking than your typical news of the week. I mean, obviously we're going to have a couple of news articles to talk about, but one of them is kind of relevant in the news. But the first thing I kind of wanted to go into was, have you been through the Division beta? Did you get into the closed beta?
I've been in the Division beta. I've been in the beta for 2 months.
Okay.
And I did not play the most recent one because I don't want to play it all over again.
Well, and you don't want to, right? You don't want to play 40% of the game and then find out. That's what happened to me in Destiny. Is I ended up playing so much of it that I felt like it was the whole game.
It's not even so much that for me. It was mostly that I was tired of playing it and then getting reset and then doing the same thing over again to grind up again. I'm like, oh, I
That's a
can't
good
stand it.
point.
I don't think I can play the game.
That's a good point. That's what I like about EA Access. Like I played Unravel and I streamed it for the channel last night, and that video is up on the page. And at least with that, if I want to go ahead and buy it, which I'm going to, because for $17.99 with the EA Access discount, $19.99 if you don't have it, or on PS4 or PC, the game is awesome as far as I'm concerned. It gives me I know we've been talking about shades of Ori and the Blind Forest, but I actually, and I said this on the stream, I actually almost get more of a Max and the Curse of Brotherhood vibe from it, in the way that your character Yarny has to use his yarn, his body, to traverse through the various um, level scapes. And I got not so much that you had to draw things or stuff like that, but you had to work your thought process a lot more than Ori, where Ori was a lot of, maybe precision jumping, some attacking, that kind of thing. Unravel is a lot of puzzling, a lot of puzzle solving. Did you get a chance to play it?
Yarny, actually, I don't have EA access anymore. I did it for the
Oh,
first year, and I thought it was good then, but I I realized I don't play that many EA games.
okay. Well, it depends on what. It really depends on what you're right on what you're playing. I'm gonna adjust my camera here a little bit. It does. It depends on what you want to play. I like Madden, but I don't buy it, and
Yeah.
but now it's in the vault. Need for Speeds, I'm sure going to be in the vault soon. Roy McIlroy PGA Tour Golf. So I mean, I'm very content to get those, when they come in the vault. Now, Unravel, I'd like to play now. So, and it's inexpensive enough that I think I'd like to support the developer, Coldwood Studios, in that. So that I'll buy. But no, I'm getting my money's worth with Access. That much is for sure.
Mhm. I mean, yeah,
So
if you're the kind of person that likes those games, you play them all the time. Like, definitely. Like, I have friends who they love hockey and they love the sports games. Uh, dare I say, I know at least I know I think like not one, not at least only one person who likes NBA Live. So at least they're getting their money's worth out of it, and they think it's fine. It's just for me personally, I play more action adventure games, so there's only a handful, really like two or three in the vault right now, so I don't really play them. So
I like
at
to,
least for right now, the what was it $30 for the
yeah.
year is just worth it for me. Until maybe they start getting a better lineup in the vault.
Well, and they're going to have to. I mean, I think I think that's next year, because obviously by next year around this time you'll probably see Mirror's Edge Catalyst, and um, I mean you'll definitely see Unravel in there, and whatever else they come with. They're coming with another Battlefront or a Battlefield game, and so on. So I mean, you're right. It depends on what is in the catalog at the time. Um, I'm also, for me, I like to pay and forget it. So, $30 a year, it's not as, it's not that bad. It's definitely, for what I play on it, it's definitely worth the money, rather than spending multitudes of $60 here and there that I normally wouldn't. So it's but I totally understand if you're not into the EA games per se, especially the sports titles, because that's where their big strong front is, then I can see where it's not worth it for you. So I get that.
Mhm.
Um,
If I was more into Battlefield, if I really was more into Battlefield, I would definitely have picked it up. But I'm not really that much into Battlefield because it's got two Battlefield games in there, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline, and that alone is well worth the money. Okay, $30 a year, and you get both those games, which is like the equivalent of paying like $5, and you get it for a year.
plus they've been throwing some of the DLC in the vault, I think, too.
Yeah, they have.
So and I'm not a Battlefield guy, um, but I really liked Hardline. Hardline was so different than your typical Battlefield, like Battlefield 4, 1942, and those. That Hardline was so different. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed what they went for, and I thought they did a good job casting it. And just to turn it into a police game, and just try something different, I enjoyed it. So that right there, in 2 years, it'll take me 2 years to pay for it, but by that time I'm playing other things in the vault anyway, so
Yeah.
it does make it somewhat worth. Um, so the basis of my question was this: um, I was in the Division beta, and I do want to circle back to the Division after a little while because I want to get your take on it, and I kind of want to get your take on where it fits in to this evolving game genre that's popping up now. This I don't even want to call it an MMO, but more of the we want this game to
MMO
last
light.
5 years kind of thing. But I was in a Division beta, and I realized that over the course of the last 2 weeks, I got invited into 3 betas. Over the course of the last year, I've been in more betas than I think I've actually played games. Um, we're missing right now. I'm missing a stress test for Homefront, but then I'm going to do the beta when the actual beta hits. I've been in the Doom beta and the alpha, um, Plants vs Zombies 2, uh, Halo. I'll be likely in the Gears because I bought because I think by buying Halo 5 you get to the Gears beta. I think I may be wrong about that.
Um,
I
I
thought
don't
there.
remember. I don't remember that being a part of it. I know if you bought isn't it if you bought Gears of War Ultimate Edition, you got Gears
Maybe that's
4?
it. Maybe that's it. That's it.
That might have
And
been
I
it.
did buy that, and I was in that beta, and um, I, I, I guess what it's funny because I think betas have become the new demos, and I wanted to get your take on this because it seems like every game of any kind of stature is getting a beta. Even Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I wasn't aware was even going to be multiplayer, is having a closed beta. I mean, what what am I beta testing in this? Is it going to be? Is it like a persistent world? Is it actually? Is it going to be multiplayer? Because now, according to Peter Moore, there's no single player games anymore. I mean, I don't I don't know what I'm beta testing there. And we have we have all these beta tests, and then we have open betas on top of that. So at some point, you're going to get an open beta of like Fable Legends, which I've been in the closed beta since last year. I think there's an open beta of the Division coming. There was a rumor, um,
Yes, that is true.
and so is it me? And I definitely want to open up to the chat room too. Is it me, or is beta become the new marketing tool for these games? What say
I,
you?
I definitely agree that it is being used as a marketing tool, but I think it also depends on which game we're talking about. And some games are going to be more of a marketing tool as opposed to others. A good one being Destiny. Destiny's beta was only a marketing tool.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a stress testing thing. It wasn't anything special. But I remember correctly, Crucible I don't think was even open for the beta. I don't remember it being open in the beta. If they were really stress testing, they would have opened up the Crucible, but they did not. So some games use it more as a marketing tool. Others use it like to legitimately test the game. But for the most part, if they're going to legitimately test the game, it's not going to be open to the public. You're not going to be able to get access to it because, oh, I bought this game, so I'm going to get access to it. Uh, so like games like I would say Doom. Doom's beta is not a stress testing beta. They're not looking for feedback per se. They're mostly just it's mostly for people who like, yeah, you bought Wolfenstein, you got into the beta. This is a reward because we promised you this.
Right.
And
You
so,
know,
but the thing is, and this is what's so dubious about the beta, is that by saying it's a beta, you can't critique it. At least that's the thought behind it. If you say, "Oh, well, I think this game sucks. I don't like this game at all. It's boring," it's like, "Well, it's just a beta. They'll fix all this later." No, for the
right.
most part, they're not changing any parts of the gameplay. They're not changing anything about it. They just put it up for you to play to say if you're basically decide if you're going to buy the game or not, or to say, yeah, I liked it a little bit.
Right.
And like some betas were more crafted to be marketing tools, like, oh, Destiny, you can go up to level 8. Oh, that's only a little bit of the game. Don't worry about it. But then you realize you end up maxing out your experience based level at 20.
Well, and the Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 beta and the Division beta, even though they were closed betas. Actually, I'm sorry, Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 was an open beta, but Division was a closed beta with no NDA. So we streamed all weekend. So, they wanted people. They were open about saying, "Oh, there's no NDA. Stream away. Please. Please stream." I mean, they were streaming it themselves. And so, you know, Plants vs Zombies has an open beta. So who's not going to take advantage of that and then say, "Oh, well, I kind of like what they're doing with this, with the new backyard mode and all that. I'm going to buy the game." I mean, that is exactly what it is. And not only are the companies themselves using it to market, the platform holders are using it to market. Remember last year? Well, I think it was whatever year, the year before Hardlight came out. So it would have been 2013,
2014.
14 E3,
Yeah,
where
because
Sony,
it was supposed to come out in 2014, but everybody threw a fit and they delayed it until spring.
right, right, and so it was exclusive. The alpha was exclusive to the PlayStation. Homefront's beta, I believe, is exclusive to the Xbox One. Hitman's beta is exclusive to the PS4. If you want to get into the beta, if you're real, then you have to buy that platform's version or have that platform. So what kind of stress test are you doing if you're only stress testing it on one platform? I mean, now this is a selling point for these games. Buy it on the PS4 and get access to the exclusive beta. Or just call it a demo. Just say, buy it on the PS4 and we'll give you early access to check it out ahead of time. Don't 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 BS us with this. That's really how I feel. Is like I feel like this has become the new demo, because neither platform holder now requires the content creators to have demos. On the 360, you were required to have a demo per game. You're not on the Xbox One. I don't think you were ever required to have a PS3 or PS4 demo. So what better way than to create a beta and ask people to get in? I do think there is one exception, and I believe that um, I believe that games like Doom's Alpha and the Fable Legends closed beta are the two exceptions to that. The Fable Legends beta, the NDA on that is so strong that if you even whisper anything on Twitter, they find you and will yell at you. Um, I might get yelled at for talking about it now, but that's a game that, because they went so far away from development, that the people who were actually testing it have seen the game as it's building. So they're not. I mean, I'm convinced we still haven't seen a final version of it yet, because they've been talking about putting DirectX 12 in, and I don't think they've even done that to the current code yet. Now I could be wrong, but I think that is something um, that they're truly using to test with. And they've been very stingy about giving out invites for it. Like, I know people who signed up on day one who still haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, that's actually
Um,
funny. I actually just got accepted
oh,
today.
did you?
Yeah,
Today?
after applying 2 years ago.
Oh man. All right. So
It was
when you
unbelievable.
get started, let me know. I'll take you through it, and we'll go
Oh, I've
battle.
already played it.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to game sharing, they can't. And all that's the best part about it is that thanks to game sharing, I signed no NDA. So,
Nice.
well,
Nice.
now, so
So Jonathan DeLuca in the chat room saying, what can they really do if you break the NDA? Well, I mean, honestly, they'll kick you out of the beta, which
you
um,
get blacklisted. That's probably the worst
yeah,
thing that can happen to
yeah,
you.
you may not get into another beta from Lionhead. But I'd rather not be kicked out of that beta. Um, I'm in. Sorry, Lionhead. I'm enjoying it. I think I've said this over and over and over, and when we're allowed to talk about it, I'm going to bring a bunch of people on who have been in this beta. I think this game is going to surprise people. I think people are don't understand what it is because Lionhead's really been so kind of tight-lipped about what it really is. I'll just say this for my older gamer friends, just think Phantasy Star Online. And that's how I feel about it. And Enrique's saying he's got kicked out of a beta once. Huh. So,
Which beta?
which one?
Oh, he kicked the girl out of my beta once.
Oh, he kicked a girl out. Dude. So, so anyway, and the Gears 4 beta, it's really funny because not only is that a beta that they want people to know about, they advertised it at the when they had this is the next wave of Xbox games coming out. Their post holiday.
Yep.
And they completely tossed that. They've tossed it right into their PR. And so this really has. It's become a point of selling the game rather than really testing the game. And if that's what you want to do, just call it what it is. That's all I'm saying. If you're truly going to be a beta, then I think you have to do it the way Lionhead's done it. You don't let everybody into it, and you clamp it down so tight that if anybody utters a word, then you may be kicked out of it. Because the opposite is Ubisoft telling people, go ahead and stream it. In fact, we want you to stream it. In fact, we're going to stream it. That's, to me, not a beta. So.
Yeah. And coming from someone who's actually legitimately beta tested a game, got actually getting paid for the job. The real beta tests, people can't get into that. Like they don't advertise it on Twitter. Get into the closed beta. This is the beta you signed something for. This is the beta you're getting paid to play because it's not finished, and they are looking for real feedback. That is a real beta.
Right.
What they call it now, like I said before, is just an overglorified demo you're not allowed to critique.
Right. It used to be called game testing. And in fact, if you remember, last year, didn't a bunch of people get in trouble with Microsoft that were actually truly beta testing the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, and they leaked footage? And
Yep.
I mean, there was a whole hullabaloo of that. But that was a company that Microsoft paid to test that game through. That you brought up a great point. That is exactly what beta testing is, and this isn't. I think we're in agreement. So, all right. So let's see if anybody's which PS online, Dreamcast or GameCube, says Nintendo superior. The one true one, the Dreamcast version, the one that actually went online. What?
I always gotta pull for the GameCube. Favorite system. Love it.
You poor children. This still the greatest console ever built. I'm just saying. Anyway. Okay. Enrique did say Xbox version. That one was pretty good too. I mean, that was on the heels of Xbox Live, kind of getting its feet under it. That's a good one. That's a good one. So, okay. So next, this is a bit of news that has sprung up, but it kind of piggybacks off of some things that have happened already in the industry with regards to trademarking. So I'd like to start this segment by please asking my friends at Sony, can you please stop trying to trademark Let's Play? It's a dumb idea. It's not going to work. You will face giant backlash. Give it up. Agreed?
Yep, doesn't get clearer than that.
Okay. So let us and you've got some great bit of information on this, so I might actually let you lead on this because the things that I'm reading are kind of as we were talking about before the show, people, even like major news outlets, may not be reporting this correctly. Um, this is what happens in real life, Sony, when you try to do this and when you almost succeed in doing it. If you haven't heard by now, there's a YouTube channel out there called Fine Brothers Entertainment. They make these goofy react videos, and I watch them because they're funny. Like they'll let somebody watch a TV show or Netflix or hand them a game or hand kids a Game Boy and just get their raw reaction to it. Um, and so they make these videos called Kids React, Elders React, Celebrities React, and they had a large following. They had like a 20 million subscriber following. So they decided they wanted to throw out pick up some more trademarks, and they wanted to do a little bit of licensing of their brand to people who wanted to be affiliates. So I'm going to let you kind of explain to everybody what happened. And then I have a website that I brought up from when Sony did it, from an attorney that kind of went to the forefront of Sony's claim, and they kind of have something on this too. But I want you to, Ivan, I want you to kind of explain what happened.
All right. First off, there's a difference between a trademark and a copyright. A
Correct.
copyright is something that's created by an individual. Like if I write a book, I can copyright it. If you take parts of my book out and sell my parts or do something like that, that's it's copyright infringement, or you claim my work as your own. Trademark is taking a phrase, an image, something like that, and saying this is mine. Don't use it. Most of the time is used for marketing purposes. So you'll hear things like uh, Bethesda registers Fallout 4 Armageddon as the files for the trademark, meaning they might want to use that title in the future.
Well,
Well,
EA
this
and
is the
EA
case.
and Ubisoft are fighting over the word ghost right
Yep,
now.
that's another one. So using these words in particular, with in regards to this particular situation, what happened with the Fine Bros is that they released a video called "Launching World React" or React World. What they were trying to do is they were trying to launch some sort of protection against being infringed upon. Basically, people stealing their quote unquote format of people reacting, and they were really, really vague about it. In particular, they said people taking our format. And when you ask about format, you don't really know what that means. Are you talking about certain shots, certain angles, certain practices of showing side by side what they're looking at? And it's so vague. They didn't give any definition of it. And simultaneously, when this happening, they get taken down a couple YouTube videos. I think a channel got taken down as well
Yeah.
for React videos. I'm not positive it was a whole channel that got taken down. And the biggest thing is that they tried to say the idea of React. Now, they had filed for trademarks for like things like Teens React, Elders React, and that's totally understandable. That's the name of their series. That's the name of the channel. It's understandable filing for a trademark in order to prevent that from being taken from someone else. But they repeatedly tried to file a trademark for the word React, just the word React. Uh, and they had tried something else out with other networks. Their network is Full Screen. And Full Screen was the one who issued the takedowns on those other YouTubers for just simply having the word React in their title. And there was a lot of backlash for this, huge amount of backlash for it. It was enough so that they lost almost 1 million subscribers off of this. And over, I think it was only in like 4 days,
Yeah,
something like
they're
that.
down to 13 million now. I just looked.
Yeah. Consider it this way. Imagine if the entire crumb side of YouTube was just suddenly wiped off the face of the earth. That's how many subs they lost.
Yeah.
Just it was that significant of a loss in such a short period of time. So what they did is they tried to back up their claim, saying like, "Oh, you guys misunderstood what we were trying to do. We're saying that if people do want to join us and they don't want to have be infringed or infringe upon our trademark, they can join us and we'll work something out. We'll give them pictures or something." And they didn't go into details of that. Um, but eventually, and also the reaction doubled down as well. They refused to stop unsubscribing. But eventually, they just released a statement a couple of days ago, and they said that, "Oh, we screwed up. We're pulling out. We're sorry. React World is canceled."
Yep. And this is the message that they put out, and then they put out a video to go along with it. So basically, they are rescinding all of their React trademarks and applications. And as it turns out, so they already owned Elders React and Teens React, which is fair because those were the videos they were making. And nobody else really was making an Elders React or Teens React video. So, I could understand that. But then they went after Celebrities React, Adults React, Parents React. Parents and adults and celebrities, that's a little more broad. And then, do they know it? Kids versus food, lyric breakdown, people versus technology, and try not to smile or laugh. I mean, that's like trying to stop the guy who makes the does it blend videos, or him trying to trademark the word blend. Um, yeah, it's crazy. So basically, they're rescinding every one of those trademarks according to this. They're discontinuing their React World program, which so I do want to back up on that for a minute because that piece of it I didn't necessarily have an issue with. And the reason I didn't, I have been approached now with my channel by at least 3 companies that want to um, not incorporate our content, not take our content, but roll our YouTube channel into theirs, into their little uh, I don't know what you call it, their little group of channels they're trying to build, and they say, well, we'll help you, we'll give you graphics to use, you can
Oh,
use our
Netflix.
yeah, you can use our plethora of free royalty-free music, which by the way YouTube does already. We will even have people available to help you create content and teach you how to do things. And all you have to do, right, and we'll even pay you all the revenue, but here's the thing, all the revenue will come into, X network and then we'll pay you. So all of a sudden, and I actually at one point, because I'm like, I love the subscribers that I have. I mean, we're very, very small. Um, but I wanted to grow. I still want to grow. Of course, I want to grow. And so I actually gave one of them a try. So I signed up, and then I got the agreement that you have to sign in order to make it go. And all of a sudden, it didn't look so free. It didn't look like it was exactly what they claim it is. They tell you that all of your content is yours, but man, that the agreement you signed for them doesn't make it seem like it's really your content anymore. And so I, of course, as you can see, I am not affiliated with anybody. Um, so at the same time, if I wanted that help and I wanted to go through that, if people want to do that and they wanted to be part of this React world, and the Fine Brothers were actually going to help them and give them graphics and give them, if people really wanted to subvert their content for them and make content for them, I didn't have a problem with that. The trademarking is a whole different thing, but I don't see why they had to give up their React World program. If people didn't want to do it, they didn't have to do it.
Yeah. When it comes to networks on YouTube, If any of you are listening, don't do it. It's not worth it. It really isn't. I'm signed up with one actually that expires in 4 days. It'll be 2 years since I signed up. Um, I'm currently affiliated with TGN, but just networks just really aren't worth it. The only network I would even say consider joining is maybe like Freedom, something you can back out anytime you want to. If you're associated with friends, you can work out some sort of pay scheme that works for you guys. Um, Anything on that front. But for the most part, networks are really just kind of, I would consider them more of a scam where they want a cut of the revenue and they want, like, they'll offer you like a 60-40 split. I know TGN does.
And
I've hated them so
I think
long.
Freedom does.
Freedom's way better. Freedom's
Yeah.
like you can change that split and make it a lot better. And there's also no contract limitation. Like if you want to leave, you can leave at any point. But TGN, you get locked in and you're stuck there forever. And
Yeah.
that's actually one of the reasons why I basically demonetized my entire channel, just so they wouldn't get anything.
Huh.
There's no
Makes
more ads
sense.
on my channel.
Makes sense. I do. I mean, I monetize, and but the reason I monetize is because for us to do content, um, I've got to do one or two things, and I'm thinking of making a pitch video soon, but um, I have no real issue with having only 300 and some odd subscribers, but having only 300 and some odd subscribers does not get the attention of anybody to send us stuff to make content on. So the other alternative is to buy it, but I have a wife and 3 children, and money does not grow on trees. No one has made or planted the magic tree of money yet, so
Oh, you don't have one?
I
Let's start
don't.
up there.
I don't. Hey, we're gonna quickly just welcome in Enrique Castellanos from the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. He's joining us a little late because we're going to talk about the division in a few minutes, and he has also a lot of experience with it. And so I thought having a third guy in here to bounce some of this around would be good. How you doing tonight, Enrique? Oh, his mic is not on yet. We'll wait for him to get his mic on. But I wanted to bring this back up, the apology letter, because the last part of it was something you were touching on as you were explaining. They are releasing all of their past content ID claims. So everybody who had taken their stuff before, they're rescinding that as well. Now, is this a matter of damage done? Don't know. But look, they still have 13 million subscribers, and their apology video, if I read correctly, had 23 million views. So don't get me wrong. A lot of people think what they were doing was crappy, but I'm still not exactly weeping for them, as I'm sitting here with 300 subscribers, and they're still sitting with 13 million. And granted, they and us and you and Enrique and all of us gamer podcasts, we do totally different things. They don't do. This is not even a gaming thing. Um, I'm hearing some feedback. Enrique, are you in yet?
Yep.
Oh, there he is. All right. Um, they don't
Sorry
do
about
any.
that.
That's all right. Uh, Ivan, this is Enrique. Enrique, Ivan, how you guys meet? Uh, introduce yourselves.
What's up, Ivan? What's going on, man?
I'm pretty good. How about you guys?
I'm good, man. Good. Can't complain. It's Friday night, and we're talking video games, so
Yes,
that's okay with me.
I know. So we were getting past some of the boring stuff that the trademarking and stuff like that. Although, what's your what you got to take on this?
Are we talking about the Sony stuff?
Oh no, kind of this between the Sony and the Fine Brothers.
I know that I'm not familiar with the Fine Brothers stuff, to be honest with you.
They were trying to trademark the name, the word React.
Much like Sony was trying to trademark Let's Play.
Correct. I wish they'd all stop. I guess
Yeah,
maybe that's my thing. They should
yeah,
just all stop.
yeah. No, I think it's I think it's a slippery slope. And I'll leave it at that. I think that it opens the box for other people to start trademarking other things. It's such a React, Let's Play. There's such commonly used terms. It's like if I wanted a trademark, have a cold one. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I just think it's a little bit much.
Agreed. So, Ivan, was there anything else on this that was kind of pertinent? Like I said, you've got a bit more of the skinny on this than I do, outside of just what I've been reading, and of course this.
I mean, there's not much else. We pretty much covered every aspect of it.
All right, excellent. All right, so before we move on to getting into some division talk and then some news, Enrique, you were in the chat room and sort of so you were privy to our beta talk.
Yeah.
What's your take on what we were talking about with the beta stuff? Are you think these are glorified demos at this point?
I think in some instances, yes, they are. I mean, you guys were talking about Destiny, and Destiny was very much a glorified beta. And even, you look at the Division, while I very much enjoyed the beta was really used as a marketing tool to generate pre-orders, and so, yeah, I think in some of the cases, these are, glorified demos. In other cases, like with, I almost said the Elder Scrolls, but that's not it. With Fable Legends, which is a closed beta. That to me, that's what I think of when I think beta. I think of an actual beta. Something that's kind of closed off to the public. The developers really trying to get feedback and tweak things, and it's really part of the development process. But stuff like the Destiny and to an extent the Division beta. I just think those are more glorified betas, and now they're being used as marketing tools. I mean, how many E3 conferences do we see now? Like where games are being touted out on the stage, and then it's you can play the beta first here on the Xbox or PlayStation. I think about the Street Fighter V beta. It's like one of the things they were touting about Street Fighter V, that you could play the beta on PlayStation. So gone are the days of the CDs that came in magazines where we played demos.
Yeah, and I meant to bring this up earlier when we were talking about it, Ivan and I. In the old days of Next Level Gaming, NLGaming.com, basically the way I used to do this was the company would send me a disc that would go in my debug kit that basically was a preview build of the game. And so that's where we would derive our previews from. And when we did beta testing in that sense, we could only play them on, like, for example, I'll just use the 360 as an example. The 360 dev kits did not have Xbox Live. So I could not play anything. You couldn't play retail discs on it anyway. You could only play burned build discs. And they had an internal Xbox Live parallel called PartnerNet. And they may still, because I haven't, obviously I'm not in the loop on this anymore. But back then, we used PartnerNet, and basically I could play with the developers. I could play with other media. So sometimes, my friends from Team Xbox, when Team Xbox was around, we'd jump on to test the game, and then they'd write their end and I'd write our end, and we'd have some really nice collaborations. But that's how I used to do it. This is totally different to me. It's totally, totally different. So, anyway, good takes all. So now I want us to slide back to the Division, and I wanted to get you guys, and I'm glad you jumped in, Enrique, because you've not only gotten your beta fill in, but you've actually played with me, and Worry Wart and Mamacita, and the night of Apache, as I will call it forever.
Yes.
I wanted to get your guys' take on the Division, what you thought of the beta, and what you think going into the game. And there's a couple people in the chat room that were already starting to talk about it. I'd like them to give us what their impressions were. And the Morganism is kind of worried about the launch, and so I want him to tell us what his concerns is, and we'll read them on the air. So, Ivan, what? So you've been in it for a while. Probably you've been in it longer than me, for sure. So, kind of give me your take on the division.
I think the Division is a better attempt at an MMO light. Like we kind of hinted earlier, there's a new genre of games approaching, specifically for consoles. It's this blend between the classic MMORPG and your typical shooter, first or third person. Destiny kind of blazed the trail on this one. The Division is coming out now, and they've learned from the mistakes from Destiny in particular. Uh, Having played it, I think it is a much better game in terms of just the general dynamic of the game and the loot system, shooting, um, basically the elements of an MMO, other than, well, the shooting. I know I mentioned that earlier. Uh, Other than that, I think the game is poised to do much better than Destiny in terms of review scores. Um, and I know that they've actually come out and said they have years of content planned for this game. I don't know how if that's necessarily true. My biggest fear of the game is Ubisoft. I don't trust Ubisoft at launch. It was specifically for online games. It's just inconsistent. And yeah,
All right. Well, and you bring up some points that I want to get into in a couple of minutes, but Enrique, so you've had some time in it too.
Hmm.
You and I have logged some time in it, and
Yep.
did you have just the Xbox version, or did you get both?
I only had the Xbox version.
Okay.
I didn't get the PlayStation
All
version.
right. There were a couple people that had both. I don't care that they're, for all intents and purposes, as much as people were fighting over the internet, the two games are identical. So I don't want to hear any of that, resolution bullshit. Not from you, of course, but the game has its
I don't know, Mike.
it's the same damn game. So
The
I don't
snow
want
looks different.
to. Right? The snow looks like screen
Screen
tearing.
tearing.
Ivan, we were playing. Enrique said, I see a lot of screen tearing. And then we turned a corner and he said, oh, wait, that could be snow. So, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I had
I
to
was
tell
kind
her
of
that.
making fun of,
I know, but it was
yeah.
it was funny, dude. A lot of that stream. I wish that the party chat was actually active that night because that could very well have been um, some of the best streaming we could have ever had that
Oh
we could have
yeah.
put up on our channels. But
Oh, it
anyway,
was gold.
oh my God, yeah, it was. So anyway, go ahead and give me your impressions.
Well, I really liked it. I I came from playing. Well, Mike, I was a big Destiny fan. Not as quite not quite as big as Amber, but
You're
nonetheless, I
using
was.
you're using the word was.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because so I Destiny was great in the beginning, and then it got a little kind of like, the grinding got to me a little bit, and then the Taken King came out, and that was just great. That to me, that DLC corrected everything that was really wrong and broken with Destiny, but then it just became just the same grind again, and it just got kind of boring, I guess. I beat the raid one time on the Taken King, and that was it. I was done, and that was it for me. And I've never done that on Destiny. I've always gone back and try to do the raid multiple times to get multiple raid gear, and I couldn't do anymore. I was just burned out by the grind. There just wasn't enough there to kind of keep me going. And I feel like every time Bungie did something to fix a problem, it's like they created another problem. And so I just got burned out by it, and I never really got into PvP. Wasn't really the Crucible because I couldn't really run. I couldn't find enough people to consistently play that with. PvP is not something you can just go in by yourself and hope to enjoy. I think by yourself, unless you like losing all the time, which I don't. Not on, especially not on online shooters. But um, so what I liked about the Division was that it was it's probably a little bit more up my alley in the sense that it's more of a and I think you said this too, Mike. It's more of a realistic based game or shooter, you know. And I don't know. I'm just drawn into that post apocalyptic New York City environment. And it's also a third person. It's also in the third person, and it's cover based shooter. So it kind of reminds me of Gears a little bit, where you kind of pop up and shoot, and you move to take cover. And if you remember seeing Mamacita rolling around a lot,
Yeah.
you can do that. Um, and so I just, I had a lot of fun with him. Like I like the Dark Zone, or the DZ as I call it. I like the idea of these random encounters with different players. And it just, I don't know, there was just something different about it. It just seemed a little more, um, I don't know how to describe it. I guess if I compare it to Destiny, it just seemed a little more real, if that makes any sense. I guess because Destiny's more sci-fi, and I don't know. It just felt like up my alley. The realistic combat shooter and New York City, and I had fun playing with people too. I just noticed that it seemed a little more laid back. At least at people in the parties that I was involved in, everyone just seemed more laid back and just having more fun. I felt like there was a better sense of community with the Division for the one weekend that I played than I did with Destiny. I'd often play with people in Destiny. It was like people were bitching about it all the time. And I know that the beta, we only had it for the weekend. Maybe we just didn't have enough time to really bitch about it, but it seemed fun. It kind of reminded me of the old days of gaming on Xbox Live when I would game with my friends and be up to like 3 in the morning gaming and just having fun.
Yeah, I felt like that. If I didn't have to work the next day, or if I didn't have Sunday school to teach the next day, I would have been up for a little while longer. Ivan, did you have Destiny?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so the now among various points in time, Enrique has tried to convince me to buy Destiny. He said he would always say, "You got to get Destiny, you got to get Destiny," and I resisted. And I feel like now, I feel like I made the right choice in resisting it. Um, what compare compare the two games for me, Ivan. Do they
Uh,
compare? Do they compare? I mean, are we making a fair comparison?
well, I think in terms of categories, I think it definitely makes sense because these are both MMO-like games where Destiny came out first and made all the pitfalls. The Division has learned from Destiny's mistakes, and I believe will launch with barely any of the same problems. Like I know Destiny, a lot of people had networking problems when it launched, and so like the first few days nobody could play, and that was always a dampener on things. What else is there?
And so,
Um,
real quick though, it's interesting that you said that because in the chat room, the Morganism, his concern was because he said I'm worried about the Division's launch. So he said I'm worried about the launch bugs. And I said in the chat room there weren't really I didn't see very many bugs in the beta, but he said, and I don't know how true this is because I didn't get Rainbow Six either. He said Rainbow Six was barely playable until about 2 weeks ago. I don't know what that means. Did either of you guys get Rainbow Six?
oh
Yeah,
no.
I have Rainbow Six Siege, and I don't know. I've had it for more than 2 weeks. I didn't have any issues with it.
I know a lot of people that had fun with it. If it goes on sale, I'm gonna pick it up. You guys know I'm a campaign guy, so I'm not a PvP and I'm not a
Hmm.
big multiplayer guy. So that's I was kind of discouraged about it not having a campaign. But anyway, I'm sorry, Ivan. I just wanted to bring that up because you were mentioning the pitfalls of Destiny, and so go on.
See, a lot of the problems with Destiny was that they weren't really quite sure, and this was Bungie's first real attempt at a MMO game, but they were trying to blend some of the goodwill from Halo into that as well, which I'm not sure if it backfired, but it didn't create a good experience for everyone. What you had was a group of the haves and the have-nots. Stop me if this sounds familiar. Um, so a lot of it, once you got to the light level initially, it relied on luck. You weren't even necessarily relying on luck, like, oh, if I do the raid, I'm guaranteed an exotic, or if I do this, I'm guaranteed something good. But instead, you were given a chance to get something good.
Yeah.
And initially, with the
That
Krypton,
damn
there was
Galar
always something worse than what you were expecting. Like if you got a purple drop, it could drop blues or greens, and make you feel terrible. But at the same time, eventually they fixed that. But it took a while for them to fix a lot of the problems with the community that they were having. So eventually, they'll make a change, and they'll always break something else. A good example being, I read something actually a couple hours ago that someone was asking about one of the exotics' abilities that they're able to regenerate ammo. So a Bungie, but then they're gonna do a new ammo update, and Bungie responded that, "Oh well, we're gonna get this fixed. We're gonna get it fixed. In the new update, those that regenerate ammo, you're not gonna have any ammo at the beginning, but it'll regenerate from 0, which means that the heavy weapons will just have constant ammo, which destroys the balance of the game.
Yeah.
And so it's like when they fix one thing, it destroys another.
Yep.
So they end up having the problem that they fixed. They had to go back to another good example being with with year one. All the problems of vanilla Destiny, they tried to do a couple hot fixes in what was it, the Dark Below, and then when the Dark Below didn't pan out, they released House of Wolves, which changed up the game significantly. And then after House of Wolves, they said, screw that stuff, we're gonna go, and then they did Taken King. So they changed stuff up all the time.
Well, and now they've come to a point to where they're still working on multiplayer stuff.
Yep.
And we talked about this yesterday on the Super Deformed Games Cast, my friend John. Bungie's having some serious problems right now that I don't think people fully understand the possible ramifications of. First off, their CEO stepped down amidst all of this stuff. That, I don't care what you say. That's never a good sign when you're in the middle of a game.
No.
Never a good sign. And you never want to put out a survey to your player base with the questions, are you still enjoying my game? Why did you stop playing Destiny? I mean, that's not good. Now, I don't know if maybe they see an erosion of the player base that of course they're not gonna tell. No, one day I'm gonna address the whole why companies don't put negative things in their PR. Nobody, I mean, obviously they're not gonna tell people that their fan base is eroding, but people see the fan base is eroding, and now you have the division that could possibly eat into that, because people that are comparing it are really kind of saying it's more polished and could be a lot better. Ivan, I'm assuming that's where you were kind of headed.
Yeah, I mean, also the biggest problem right now is that the Destiny community is dedicated but also pretty dumb, which is it's sad because I'm really close with a good group of mine called Channel 5. They're good friends of mine, and they play Destiny religiously. But all year one, they would admit, like, yes, there's lots of problems with Destiny. The base game is severely flawed, but we had fun playing it for a bit. But we have faith that the next update will fix everything. That the next one's going to fix it. And now what they've decided to do is that, one, they broke their promises of no microtransactions that would affect gameplay, which they've broken pretty heavily at this point. You're going to be able to buy ammo packs, and you're going to be able to... Well, actually, that was a rumor. The ammo pack one is a rumor, but as with everything with Destiny, any rumor that comes out eventually becomes true. And they make promises, and what they've done is they've added microtransactions, but they're not going to have any more paid DLC. But as a result, you don't know when the next DLC is coming out, so there's no hope factor. Like, all right, when's the next one coming out? We can't tell you. Either they don't have anything or they don't know. And so it scares people. People want to know, like, when's the next one going to come out? You got to give us something to work with here. We need something. And I guarantee when the Division launches, they're going to have they're going to put out something. Just a couple missions, maybe a strike. Just something to keep people from leaving, as bad as it is now.
I would imagine so. I mean, I would agree with that. Maybe Galler horns for everyone. Here's the so here's the other thing. The other issue that Bungie's going to have is they're going to have to push. They're pushing Destiny 2 out of fall. So there is such a thing as gaming fatigue, and all games suffer it. I don't care what the game is. All games suffer it. Even Halo suffered it. After a while, it's the same thing over and over and over and over. Even if it's not necessarily a grind like Destiny, it's still a repetitive game. You know, they unless you change the entire look and environmental part of the game, it's the same game. At some point, people were going to want something new and pull off of Destiny to find that new game. And this is where I think the timing of the division is very, very good because they can take advantage. I don't think they necessarily looked at March and said, something's going on with Destiny because nobody kind of knew that at the time. I think this thing going on with Destiny is sort of hitting the last month if I'm timelining it right. I mean, that's when I kind of started really hearing about it. There may have been some underpinnings, but the whole thing with their CEO stepping down and the survey and talks of an eroding base really are recent. So the division is almost coming in at this perfect time to grab those disgruntled Destiny gamers and pull them in. Here's the problem. The division has to now accomplish the same thing. They have to have enough content, which is why I think they did not. I know there's been an uproar about them not including Brooklyn in the original game, but I think that's on purpose. I think because they don't want to give everybody the entire game right off the bat.
Yeah.
And they want to build you into it. But they're going to have to keep some fresh content outside of their season pass for people that are not going to buy the season pass but want to keep playing the game. And they could possibly go through I think they will. They'll go through the same fatigue in a year or two. Do you guys agree? Let me put it out there like that.
Yeah, Mike, that's a challenge of these games is keeping, the gamers, keeping our attentions, keeping us involved and wanting to come back. And you're right. After we're what 2 years into Destiny now, and we're seeing the challenges that Bungie's having, and that's going to be potentially the challenge with the division. Can they keep enough content coming to keep people engaged in the game? That's the big question, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I mean, obviously, time will tell. I don't want to speculate and say that they're gonna kind of fall on their faces in the ways Destiny has in terms of delivering fresh content. But Ubi's saying they're going to have a lot of content to deliver, and the one thing that I've heard about the division, just the sheer size of New York City and the level of exploration. There's going to be more things to do in terms of exploration than there is or there was to do in Destiny. Um, so that's to me that's a positive, but that's the challenge again, Mike. Is can they continue bringing enough content to keep us satisfied? I don't know. I I I wouldn't want to be a developer trying to do that. That's got to be a tough job.
Well, and as Ivan was saying, and Ivan, I want to go to you. This is you called it MMO light, which I want you to kind of expand on. But at the same time, you know, what do you think about what Enrique said? I mean, I, I think that you do have that. You've got to keep pumping that content in, and then what's the difference between the content you're going to pump in for people for free and what comes in the season pass?
That's a good question. And that's one that's actually Destiny's been really struggling with too, because they tried the whole there is no free DLC route for the year one. And season two, all of it's free, but you don't know when. And that's the biggest downside is you don't know when. When it comes to MMO Lite, we're talking about it's a blending of the genres of big AAA traditional console games and MMORPGs, or really just MMOs. And you're trying to pull in the long-term effects of an MMO, what keeps people playing for a long period of time, which is mostly content, leveling, loot. Those are the things that keep people playing on MMOs. And but they're trying to also blend in some of the aspects of a first-person AAA shooter or a third-person AAA game. And they're trying to blend those aspects in there. So it's a mixture of both. So it has big production value, but at the same time is going to keep people playing for a longer period of time. It's a lot of the games now, you might get 30 hours out of them, at least amongst the AAA console games that eventually come out. A lot of it is shorter 30-hour, maybe 50-hour experiences as an average game kind of length. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to extend that time. So what they try to do first was they do with Call of Duty, whereas it's a long shot. You play and it's indefinite, and you might play some of the DLC. You might keep people going that direction. And Activision realized after a while that, like, okay, this is working, but we can only keep it up for a year. And so now they're in a situation where they have to keep it up for more than a year, and that's something they're not really used to. So they kind of ran out of content on that front. And so with an MMO, you can't really make the level of multiplayer content. You can't make as much as an MMO, but at the same time, you wanted to keep the production value up, so they're going to have to constantly be releasing little bits of DLC to keep people going. Like I think the big chunks of DLC for the Division being like, I don't know, like a new section of the city. Those will be things you pay for. Those will be things in the season pass. But I think there'll be like little like, oh, we updated. Here's a few new missions, something along those lines. Like a couple of things here and there to keep people invested for people who don't have the season pass.
Well, and it's funny you said that because so in the chat room, I want to give a quick shout out to Eric Jackson from EXL Gaming. He jumped in a few minutes ago, and he was overhearing. I guess he came in about this time, and he said he had heard somebody say that with Destiny, you had planets that made for varying environments. With the New York setting, they have to bring in those locales, the different boroughs and things to keep it fresh. So now that could be the season pass material. Then he said, I can see them having battles in the subway tunnels, a depleted MSG, and a blizzard hit New York. That could be your free content, is to have a mission in the middle of winter.
Well,
and then have Max Payne run by.
Max. You know, Mike, I think that with the Division, you're going to have more areas, more levels of exploration than you had in Destiny. Because I think with Bungie, when they created these planets, they had to create this massive landscape, and it was, you know, and the planets were beautiful, but there really wasn't, like, I don't think there was a lot to explore. Where New York City is it's such a consolidated space of buildings and tunnels, and you know there's this there's just a lot. You have all the boroughs, and you know, obviously they haven't released Brooklyn yet, but you got to imagine that's going to happen. There's just this. I think there's just greater level of exploration in the Division that I think is going to draw a lot of people into it.
Well, and the Division doesn't necessarily have to be all New York either. This could bleed into. They could bleed this into New Jersey.
Exactly.
I mean, they could expand out, which is kind of what I was hoping that they would do with like Forza Horizon 2, and they never did. They did Storm Island, which was like an offshoot island piece, but in that sense, I would love to see, and I would pay. So that's what I would pay a season pass for. If I knew that they were going to unlock a whole new area, but then it wasn't just going to stop there. If you really, really, really want to make your game last, this would be one way to do it. You've got an entire country that you can bring into this game, and you could do it puzzle piece by puzzle piece. Now, do they have the longevity for that? And that's where Bungie's mistake is I don't think that they didn't have the legs to keep running with Destiny. Does Ubisoft have the legs to keep running with this?
That's a good question.
Yeah, let's hope so. At least I hope so, because I'm looking forward to this game. But
I'm buying it day one. I mean, this is a no-brainer for me. And you said this 2 weeks ago, I think. You said, Mike, this could be your Destiny.
this could,
This
yeah,
and uh, you could be right. You might be right because I could see myself spending a lot of time. Look how much time we spent just screwing around, like not even going after things, just running around and acting like fools. I mean, you know, and breakdancing.
dancing. Yeah,
I mean, we spent an inordinate amount of time
we did.
just running around the little bit of the city.
Yeah, we did. We did. It was fun, and one of the interesting things that the division is going to be bringing to it is that you can actually make your own like base camps. Cleaning up like abandoned buildings and stuff like that to create your own like home base. And I think that's something that's like Destiny doesn't have anything like that. And when you think about a sense of community and gaming with your friends, as silly as that may sound to some people, or as kind of small as that might sound to others, but I think that's a big deal to be able to kind of create this home base, build your home base, customize your weapons. All those small things I think are going to keep people engaged in the division. Whereas in Destiny, like your weapons were good, but then once another map pack came out or another DLC came out or they tweaked something, a lot of the times it became obsolete. And and you kind of wanted to bang your head on your table because you'd grinded so hard to get a weapon, and then Bungie tweaked something, or they tell you, after grinding for months on months to get a Galahorn that you got about a week left before your Galahorn's basically garbage.
Yeah, and I know people who, I mean, look at Amber. She went nuts trying to get that weapon. I mean, her entire guild or
Yeah.
whatever group she had was dedicated to people who couldn't get that weapon. And then all of a sudden, they just flooded everybody with it.
And Mike, you know
Yep.
what happened to with this with Destiny? You had this like hierarchy of people in Destiny that had certain weapons. I remember before I got the Galahorn, there were instances where people wouldn't let me join their raid parties. Oh, you don't have a Galahorn? You can't join us. You know, and you go to the Destiny app to look for people to do raids, and people would post stuff. Don't reply unless you have a Galahorn, and so it became like this hierarchy of people who had certain weapons that could join certain groups to complete missions or do raids.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah. So and this is so this is why I think Destiny has to put out a survey. Why aren't you playing anymore? Please come back to my game. Please
I
don't leave. Please don't leave me. Is really what they're saying.
yeah.
Did
That's
you
like
get?
that's
Did you guys get that survey?
Yeah, I
no, and
did.
I didn't get it. If I did, I haven't seen it, but I'm not interested. Even if I did get it, I'm not interested
Yeah.
in filling it out.
I hadn't played since like June, and so like, why'd
Wow.
you leave? I did not respond yet, but I know I'm gonna write content.
Content.
Lack of
Content is king.
content.
I look at I mean, Star Wars Battlefront hit their 13 million uh, goal, right? EA said that last week. Look at
Yep.
the leaderboard. How many people are actually playing it? It's not 13 million people.
No.
You have to excuse me with and it's not product placement, I promise. Um, yeah, I mean, 13 million people aren't playing that game. Like I don't my son doesn't even play it much anymore. It's the
Yeah, I
same
don't
thing.
either.
Now I will say this. Let me back up because one thing EA is doing is they are putting a lot of free content into Battlefront, and I give them credit for that. Um, but without it's content that they really probably should have had at the beginning. And so that's where it's going to be incumbent upon the division to hit. As Ivan was saying at the beginning, you've got to launch that thing with some content. Um, you've got to have enough to keep people involved. And Enrique, your point was, I think it was you that said they're probably going to launch something on Destiny to try to keep people from peeling off on it. Now, the Morganism on the chat room had an interesting idea. He says Bungie should do what Guild Wars 2 did: make the base game, Destiny 1, free, and make Destiny 2 $40. What do you think of that?
Oh, that's a great idea. Especially after they did what they did with the Taken King, you know, charging people money again.
Oh, but they did
I
put
think
out
that's
one
a
hell
great
of a
idea.
custom console for that, though.
What's that?
They did put out one hell of a custom console for that, though.
Oh
I
yeah,
will
they
say,
did.
yeah, I gotta agree. It looked really awesome on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked nice.
Look, we talked about that when it came out. That was one of the nicest looking, next to that Batman PS4. That was one of the nicest looking custom consoles you could buy.
I like the Nathan Drake one that's coming out.
Well, I was
That
going to
one looks.
bring that up. I was going to bring that up towards the end in our news segment, so I'll show it to our viewers when we get that far. But so, what do you think, Ivan? Make the base game free and then charge you for Destiny 2?
I think the whole game should be free right now. Taken King, whole thing.
Free to play.
Like literally tomorrow, whole thing free.
Hey,
Well, then they can make their
No, they got
uh
microtransactions in the game now.
right. They can
Everybody
make
who's gonna
yeah,
buy it's already got it.
they can make up their money on perk packs and all kinds of stuff. Look how much money. It's funny how we don't get to how we haven't talked about Halo 5 as much as we should. Look how much money Halo 5 is making off of rec packs.
they're
It is
bringing in the dough.
it is ungodly how much money they're making. This is why Microsoft has been very kind of upfront about how happy they are with Halo 5. You know how in their last quarterly numbers they talked about how Halo was part of that great holiday season because $400 million off the base and then hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, maybe millions in rec packs. So imagine Destiny doing that. Imagine Destiny saying, "All right, free to play, and we'll buy our perk pack or whatever they want to call it." That could be
hmm
gold. That could be
Yeah,
gold for them.
If they went back to the original level up system of just random chance, that could actually work. They said, "Hey, Destiny 2 free." Like say the whole game's free. Uh, but if you want the big expansion stuff, you pay us $40. You'll get all the expansions the big expansions that will come out later, and we basically cannibalize the whole game. And you can buy any piece you want.
Right.
Go within
So,
reason.
Drunken Master D, who joined the chat room, he said he had
I,
1,800
I don't
hours.
believe that. I don't
that's.
believe that, man.
Is that a typo? I was looking at that. I'm like,
That's
that's
gotta
got to
be
be
a
a
typo.
typo.
That's bullshit.
All right, so well, you're getting called out here, Drunken Master.
I know,
But
Dan.
all right,
I
let's
know
get
you
past.
can play
But
1,800
hold on,
hours.
let's get past the first sentence. He says, "Don't play it anymore. It was fun for a while. Taking King made it fresh, but it needed more strikes and raids, which they kept slacking on." They said, "Oh, he said he could provide proof." All
Back
right.
it up, man. Back it
Oh
up.
yeah, well if you
GameStop still sells the base game for $10 to $15, and that's worthless without the DLCs, which I do agree with.
that's true. It's a good point.
So,
But
um,
he's right, Mike. The raid was good, the story was good. They fixed the stuff and they fixed a lot of the things that were wrong with Taking King. But then he's right. The raids, the strikes, it was just the same stuff. They didn't really do anything to improve on that stuff. And I could see why people are just tired of it now. It really is, once you get past the story and the other thing too is, I thought Destiny was going to be this big big universe I could explore, and it wasn't like that. You just hopped in your ship and it was like a little like cutscene and the other ships join you and you're all in light speed or whatever, and then you get to your destination. That's it. There really wasn't any like space exploration or anything like that. What I thought it was going to be, because they talked about this big universe before the game came out, and yeah, it's a big universe, but it really isn't, because you're going to point A to point B.
All right. So while we're talking, Drunken Master D said he played
I'm
on
looking at
Xbox
it now.
One. I'm loading up. I'm loading up the Xbox Win app, and we will. I said I got your back. If he's really telling the truth, I want people to see that because that's dedication to a game that I can't even imagine.
That's not dedication. That's desperation.
Was that all him? Was that all those hours trying to get the Gallahorn?
Where is it? I gotta
Uh,
find it.
hang on, I gotta see. Well, hang on, I gotta find him. So, um, we kind of need to talk about the division. We got on to talking about Destiny.
Destiny, yeah.
Um, so obviously, I think the three of us are getting Destiny
You mean the
or
division?
the division rather. See, now you got me doing it.
I plan
Yeah.
to. I plan to. I enjoy what I played.
You know what, Mike? I'm actually thinking about. This sounds crazy, but I'm thinking about getting both versions of the division.
Well, I- okay,
Yeah.
I would not necessarily call that crazy. I
My
mean,
wife would think it's crazy.
well, but if you have two sets of people that you play with.
Ha! I
Yeah, I
got
do.
it. He
What?
only played 1,556 hours.
Oh,
Oh, he's off
that,
by like
oh,
200 something.
ex, ex, exposed. Is that the
That's
word we use?
desperation right there.
Exposed, dude. That is still. I can't even. I don't even think I've played that much in all of my games since the console came out. I mean, I only get to play like a couple hours a night because, once again, I have kids and a wife, um, and a job and things like that. So I mean, I can't even get that much time in total. I'm still looking for it because I'm scrolling down his games. I am still impressed. I
That's
am still
impressive, though.
I am still damn impressed. You
That
sir,
is impressive.
you sir have my respect. That's all I
How
can
many
say.
broken relationships were there?
There was no relationships. There's nothing.
All right, I'm not. Yeah. Wow. That's just
That's
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 wow.
impressive. That's
That
impressive.
really is. I'm. You know what? I am friending him right now because I want to
Does
be that. I want
does
to be your
Bun
friend, Drunken Master.
does
I
Bungie know about this?
Bungie needs to know.
There needs to be a
Holy
Destiny
crap!
Anonymous group.
I love his reply. It was off by a bit.
No, no, that literally should be was a Division commercial. It should
Yeah.
be like Destiny Anonymous. I was
Wow.
tired of grinding for nothing.
Right.
Can you imagine
For the
them?
So
chance at getting a good weapon.
Can you imagine, Mike? Can you imagine them running Ubisoft running ads like saying Division does what Destiny doesn't? What Destiny can't.
Ooh.
the division does, but Destiny doesn't.
Yeah.
And then they have Drunken Master, and he's on there. I used to be a Destiny player.
Yeah. I
And then
launched.
then they deck him out in like the division gear.
Yeah.
And look at me now.
There you go.
Or get a girl on stage like hi, my name's Destiny Jones, and someone else say, hi, my name's Destiny Stewart. We both like the Division.
Oh my goodness.
Get some booth girls.
Yeah. Oh, you missed it last week, Ivan. We went.
I watched it.
Oh, that's right, you did. You saw. We went back in time. I embarrassed the crap out of Sean. Oh,
But yeah, Mike, I'm thinking about getting it on both Xbox One and PlayStation 4 because I have friends that play on both platforms, and why not? So I could see that game carrying me in through a good part of this year. Although April gets a little tough with some of the games that are coming out that month, but
yeah. And I got to put money aside for Quantum Break
oh yeah, well
Yep, yep,
April
yep.
for me is Quantum Break and Uncharted,
and
and
Uncharted. Yeah, I still have to figure out. I, Now, credit to my wife. I have a feeling that she is scoping out at least a pre-owned or used PS4 for me. She knows that I need.
Nice.
She knows that I need it for the channel. She knows that I need it for content creation. Um, my issue is how the hell am I going to afford all the games? Because Uncharted's the game that I will absolutely be getting for that. That is still one of my favorite um, overall franchises. Um,
Two's the best, in my opinion.
two, yeah, I can, yeah. Three was, three was all right, but
Yeah, three was okay.
two was
Two is
really
the
the
best
best.
for me.
So while we're
Yeah.
talking about that real quick, I promised people I'd show them. Um, let's see if it pops up. Here we go. This is the Uncharted 4 PlayStation 4 bundle. It's going to be available, and here is the Nathan Drake on top of the PS4. And there's a better look at it here.
It's not too
Now,
bad.
not too bad. Here's the thing, and it could have just be me. The only thing that I don't like about these particular types of custom consoles is the lack of graphic on the front. And to be honest, and I say the same thing about Xbox One bundles that only have something at the top. My Xbox One actually sits higher on my entertainment center than I am tall. So I'm 6 foot tall, and I've got this thing up another foot above that. I will never see the top of my Xbox One unless I get up on a ladder or on a chair. I would never see the top of this because I know exactly where this PS4 is going when I get it, and it's going on the other side on this at the same height. So for me, it does me no good. Um, some of the ones that have graphics on the front are the ones that I would be more interested in. However, that controller is really nice looking.
Yeah, I do like the
Mm,
controller.
I like that controller.
I don't know. As a person who likes doing graphic design, I mean, it looks good, but I feel like it's a little too simple. It needs a little extra pizzazz on it. Like I feel like what you could have done if you open it back up again,
Oh, here
if you look at like the prongs of the controller, if they did like a dark blue kind of fading out to the black, that would have been cool.
Oh yeah, I could
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that.
that would be
That
cool.
would have, I think, that would have made the controller perfect.
I could
Mike,
see that.
that
And also, I
console.
wish they had a little more, like a little red on the console, like just a little bit, like that dark burgundy red.
But that's not part of Uncharted though. I mean, if you look at
Uh,
the here, if you look at the I guess the four. Yeah, the four is kind of burgundy. I see what you mean.
and they got the underline under the Uncharted one. Like if they could do, I don't know,
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
maybe if that was red
Yeah.
and not blue. I see
It
what you
just
mean.
needs a little more shading because it looks like it's just like slate blue across the board.
And here is the official Uncharted 4 headset, in case you want to buy that.
Mhm.
And then here's the controller by itself, and that's the Uncharted bundle. We
That
talked about this last night on Super Deformed Gamescast, man. Sony has really kicked in with custom consoles.
they're
Uh,
selling like hotcakes.
I wish Microsoft would get on the ball with this because there were some fantastic looking custom Xboxes out there, and they bring this stuff to Comic Con every year, and you can't buy them.
Yeah.
That beautiful Witcher 3 console, that really cool looking Fallout 4 console, which should have been part of their bundle, you can't buy those. You can win them. You can win them on Bing rewards, but you can't actually buy them. But here, you have this console. You had that beautiful Taken King console. You had that awesome looking Batman console. You had the Star Wars Battlefront console, the custom consoles. They need they need to get better at doing these. Now, it's limited edition, so obviously they're not making 500,000 of these, or maybe they are. Maybe, but you can call them limited edition and sell them limitedly, but Microsoft's got to get better at that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think with what at least design wise that I'm seeing, specifically from Sony, because they do a lot more of these. They're taking more of like a minimalist approach to it. They're doing like a two-tone kind of vibe for every console that they're releasing. So they do like in this is the case of this one. It's like a light slate blue, and they got like a darker blue. If you looked at the Star Wars one, it was it black
It was all
and
black, yeah.
it was all black, but then like a slightly lighter shade, like a gray for like a Darth Vader on it, which looked pretty cool, but it just didn't. It was very minimalistic in what they put on it. There was another one.
People didn't like that one, but I did, and people really didn't like the controller. I loved that controller.
Yeah.
I thought the
thought it was
controller
great.
looked okay. I thought if you knew it was like the box for on the chest, it made sense. It's just a lot of Microsoft isn't doing enough of the custom consoles. Like I think the one that they did do that kind of stuck out to me, other than the Sunset Overdrive white console, was the lock one. I thought the lock one looked pretty good. I liked it. It wasn't too distracting. It was just enough to say like, yeah, I could see why I put money for this. It looks decent.
Well, they had the
Looks
Forza
good.
console too, if you guys remember that.
I do
Oh yeah,
remember that was a good looking console. That one was a good looking console.
Made the car noises or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also don't like with my consoles. I don't like having a giant graphic on it. I don't want to be. I don't look at the console.
I like the graphics.
I might look at it like in passing, but I don't want to be like looking at the console all the time.
I like the
I'm looking
graphics.
at the game most of the time.
I'll tell you why I like the front graphics. I don't know if I can do this or not. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. You'll have to excuse me. This is a 3D virtual tour of Mike's room. Look on the wall.
Flying.
Hang on. Let me. Do you guys see that on the wall? Not the Namco picture. Look to the left of the Namco picture. Do you see it?
Yes, I see the plates.
You know what those are, Ivan?
No, I can't see it as well. Oh, the
Sorry.
faceplates for 360.
Those are my collection of Xbox 360 faceplates.
Mike, I see. You know what I do see, Mike? Under the faceplates, I see an unused treadmill
Yes, you do.
with lots of dust bunnies.
It's holding the wall up. By the way, that is my hold on. That is also my box. I've been going through my Xbox games, my original OG Xbox games. But anyway, those are my faceplates. I collected those faceplates a lot, and I actually the bottom right one was the E3 2005 faceplate that I got from the Microsoft conference, and actually Larry Herb of all people gave it to me. He was out there handing them out along with some of the other Microsoft staff. So, he actually handed me my faceplate, and then I got an E3 05 faceplate from Mad Catz. And a couple of other that were kind of not limited edition, but they were kind of only given to a couple of people. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, some of those faceplates are things that you can't get retail. So I'm kind of proud of that collection. But I like those, and I like the front graphics. So if I could get a custom console that's got a really nice front graphic, I'm kind of happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Like that was what was it, the Fallout 4 limited edition one, the one you couldn't buy. I actually like that one because if you look at it, it's not unassuming, but it looked like a Pip-Boy. It was like, all right, I know what that is.
Yeah.
It's not distracting, but it's like it's a conversation piece. If you have a fellow gamer walk in the room, it's like, oh yeah, that's the Fallout one, right? I'm like, yeah, that's it. But it's not like something like you're playing the game and that's all you can look at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike. Eric in the chat room mentioned that he said he thinks Microsoft is waiting until they do a slimmer Xbox One to do more custom consoles.
Could be.
Good discussion.
Yeah. That could be. Now, I tell you what, you just on an offside, the last month since we've opened this chat room up, I got to tell you guys that are out there in the chat room, and I even tweeted it. The chat room is exactly why I do this. Um, don't get me wrong. I love talking to, I love having guests on and Sean and all the people who have ever contributed to Next Level Gaming, who's on now, and Enrique, and you've been on, and all that. But to be able to open up a chat room and have some good people
Yeah.
in that chat room having great discussions and really helping us shape the show a little bit and interact with us and let us talk to them on air and read their stuff on air and stuff. This is what makes this for me. And so you guys in the chat room, I love you guys. I'm serious. No joke. You guys are making this enjoyable for me. Um, anyway, so yeah, that would be interesting because I did ask Aaron Greenberg about this once because I don't know, I wouldn't say, I was curious. The Sunset Overdrive uh, bundle went really well with their custom white console, and then they stopped selling it. They had all these great bundles. Why couldn't they sell them? His answer was that they cost a lot to make.
Hmm.
So maybe there's something to what Eric's saying about a slimmer, less expensive to manufacture version that might have some sort of better pricing for customization. They got to do something. They're getting their butt kicked in custom consoles. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say so. Yeah, I'd have to agree that Xbox team gets butt kicked when it comes to custom consoles, simply because they're just not doing anything. Like they did one Forza and they did one Lock, and then there was a generic white and a generic black, and yeah, I think PlayStation, just because sheer variety, they're winning.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I bring this up every once in a while. Um, I, the Xbox consoles that they do have that they don't sell, um, it's like why? What is stopping you? Let me bring this up, and I don't want to dwell on this too much. I just wanted to, for the sake of showing you guys this picture, uh, only because this is to me this is the opportunity that they miss. Look at some of those. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Look at that, and I can't really zoom in too much on it. I don't think. Let me see if I can do this with the screen a little bit. It's a little fuzzy, but look at the Halo 5 console. That would be awesome. Look at the Fable Legends console. Look at the Rare Replay console with the Rare Replay on it. Um, this one, whatever the heck this is, Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2, maybe.
Yeah, that's Plants vs Zombies. You
I
saw
mean,
on the
but,
top
but
one.
look at that. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
you know, here's the Mad
I
Max
think
one.
here's one top left. That is impressive.
Yeah,
That
Yeah,
looks
Gears one's
good.
nice.
even the Transformers one with Optimus and Bumblebee on it on the front. Sell me this.
Look at the
Let
Division one.
Oh yeah, look at that. Sell me
That's
this
impressive.
console, Microsoft. Let people buy these. When you put out your Division bundle, which you're putting out, put this console in there, at least in a limited run. Make 500,000 of them. You will sell every freaking one of these. I would almost guarantee they would sell out of this console.
Yeah.
I
Want
would
that
I would
Mad Max one.
almost because it's also got the black and the orange kind of goes with a little bit of my the wood in my entertainment center. I would actually consider selling my Xbox One or putting it in another room and getting the Division Xbox One for down here because that would be a hell of a thing to walk into and look at.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's a nice
and the
console.
thing is, like with the Xbox, it's because it's customizable. Because you could do things, at least maybe not to the physical console yet, but you can do things to make the UI look better, to make the background, like especially with the last UI. I used to make custom backgrounds, and you could like let's say like one thing I would do is that you'd have I made a GTA font for myself, and the GTA fan's like, okay, well, I like this. It looks really it really clicks and it works with the background. Like, oh, I'm gonna make my tiles a darker shade of green and then make it a little more transparent so it looks great on the console. And you could do things like that, and that's what's so good. Like, if you imagine you get a GTA 5 console and you could do that, and you have that custom background, and it all just syncs together perfectly.
Absolutely. And it's funny because the Xbox One gets a bad rap as being a VCR, but wrap it in that Division graphic or that Gears graphic, and nobody's saying that. I,
Yeah.
I never get it, and Sony's doing such a great job with their custom consoles, and they're selling very well.
Yeah, they're doing
So
great.
it's something that they have they've really picked up on the market with. So and again, good comments in the chat room. Some of you guys now. Eric says the Sunset Overdrive console was a miss. He said the white Xbox One with some minimal color splatters on it would have been awesome. I think I agree with that. You put some of that Overdrive drink splatter on it. I think
Oh
you're
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
I agree with that completely.
Or just put some graffiti on there because the game had plenty of graffiti in it. It would look great.
Absolutely. And then you put the Sunset
Oh yeah.
Overdrive logo on the front next to the disc tray. Anyway, so that was that. It is what it is, and hopefully they'll realize that custom consoles can sell. Until then, um, let's move on to a couple of pieces of news because we're approaching the 2 hour mark. I'm impressed. Every time I think, man, there's not enough to talk about. We're only going to go an hour, and it's almost midnight.
Yeah.
So, real quick stuff. I kind of shared this out a minute ago and didn't get a chance. It kind of just snuck in there. Um, so while EA has decided to pull out of E3 altogether and do their own EA Play Day the weekend before, Bethesda has decided that they are going to do their second E3 showcase. Their first one obviously was such a success and got uh, such a great response, and I'm really happy for my friend Pete Hines down there at Bethesda, who I've known for a good long time, and actually worked with him in PR, as my PR rep for Dreamcast HQ. They go back that far. I was really happy for him getting up on stage and really knocking it out of the park. So they're doing it again. And the interesting question is, so we have June 12th. Doom is already going to be released. Doom is releasing May 13th. We have Fallout 4 already out. Obviously DLC is going to be a big thing for them.
Oh, definitely.
What are they going to announce? What do they got? What do they got that they can bring out next?
They could do a couple of things. I think I think there's two real possible options of what they could do. There's option A, which is a little more obvious one that everyone's kind of pointing at, and I'm not sure if they're really going to do it. It'll be the obvious stuff like, oh, we're going to show more Dishonored 2, or we're going to talk about Battle Cry some more.
True.
Things along those lines. It could be another, and the more obvious option is that they're going to announce Elder Scrolls 6. It won't be coming out this year though. It will be coming out 2017 because they're launching a little too close to Fallout 4 because they don't want to impede on their own game that still has life in it.
So, well, speaking of life, and we talked about Destiny and the Division. What you haven't heard a whole lot about recently is Elder Scrolls Online. So again, now this is a true MMO, and it seems to be dying out. So are they going to try to resurrect some DLC for that this year?
Yeah, maybe. It's always a possibility.
So Dishonored 2, do we have a date for that? I can't remember off the top.
I think it's the end
I
of
don't
this
know. I don't
year.
remember.
Okay, so they can obviously show more of that. Elder Scrolls, they can at least get started on.
They could
Um,
announce it. Yeah.
maybe they will announce that Skyrim's backward compatible. I would
Yeah.
love. I don't know what. I don't. I would love to have that.
I could
Uh,
see that. Yeah.
It might be something where it was, hey guys, Elder Scrolls 6 is coming, but you know what else you can get right now? Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim remastered, $10, $20, something dirt cheap.
I'd rather, man, I'd rather them just make it backward compatible.
Yeah, I mean, because the only reason I even bring up the remaster thing is because one, they already said that they ported it over to Xbox One when they were making Fallout 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's already ported over. The major work is done, and so it's just tweaking the rest of it.
Man, I'd make it. I'd see what I would do. I would make Skyrim backward compatible, and then since they've already done the legwork, I'd package it in on the Xbox One side with Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Because that's not unprecedented. That's not unprecedented. You know,
Yeah,
when you
but
bought,
I was saying like
Yeah.
more like it's available right now, Elder Scrolls Remastered. But then you say like, oh well, okay, if you pre-order Elder Scrolls 6, you get that for free, or in Xbox you get the old version backwards compatible or something weird like that. You
Yeah.
use backwards compatibility to your advantage.
Yep. Well, that's what they did with Fallout 4, and it worked. And those of us who owned Fallout 3, that's just bonus material for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think they need to make Skyrim backward compatible. I do. So we have a vote for Elder Scrolls 6. We
Yep.
have Dishonored 2, DLC for Elder Scrolls Online. Enrique, what else do you think?
I mean, I pretty much agree with you guys. I think the big announcement's going to be an Elder Scrolls announcement. And what Ivan said, I could see them, because they ported Skyrim over, I could see them doing something like, maybe like a remastered of Skyrim to kind of get people hyped for the next Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. And
I could see
Skyrim's
that.
already achieved that kind of legendary
Yeah.
status now.
Yes.
People wouldn't be pissed off about a remastered game because it's worth it. It's worth
Yeah,
remastering.
they might get excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
and
It's
to
not
me,
just the thing walking down the block, little Sally's right, just strolling down the block. Everyone gets their own little remaster. It's not like it's Sleeping Dogs.
right, and it's not like it's the first.
It's not like it's Sleeping Dogs.
Right, it's not like it's the first game too because they remastered Dishonored. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Eric in the chat room partnering with Valve to bring Half-Life 3.
I'm just trying to imagine what would happen.
Oh
Like,
my God!
we already saw the reaction for Fallout 4 when they announced that. That was such a huge thing, and that was basically prep for Half-Life 3. I don't think it's going to happen, but I always love the scenario. Like, what if somebody comes out and announces Half-Life 3?
That would be a mic drop moment. They should literally drop the mic and just leave. End
Yeah,
the show.
all they have to say is Half-Life 3 and walk off
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah,
That's
Half-Life
your
3.
that's your PS2 $3.99 moment or whatever that was. $2.99 moment. That's your
Was that the PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2?
I think that was a PlayStation 2.
I thought it was the 1 because I thought that had to do with the announcement, Sega's announcement of the Saturn, the Saturn's
That could be.
price.
You know what, you might be right. You might be right because the yeah. Actually,
And-
that is yes.
And then Sony was like $2.99, done.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
I think the other scenario that could happen with Bethesda, this is if they don't have Elder Scrolls 6 to show just yet, that they're either, because you got Machine Games who already launched Wolfenstein. I don't think there's going to be a Wolfenstein sequel per se, or at least not right now. But you got Machine Games just kind of walking around, not doing too much. And so they could clearly have a game they've been working on other than like their own personal game, a new IP.
Maybe there's a new IP coming out. Yeah.
And then you also got the Evil Within guys who really aren't doing anything either. I don't think Evil Within did well enough to warrant a sequel for that either. So I think that you got two good teams just kind of walking around.
Yep. Well, the thing about Wolfenstein though is Wolfenstein came out in 2014.
Yeah.
It's been 2 years. It could be time for another Wolfenstein.
It may not be Wolfenstein. Like, I would love for there to be another Wolfenstein, but I'm not sure if they could do it again.
The old order.
Because I think that game was
So good.
great.
So
I
good.
love that game.
So freaking good.
It was an ode to the old style of first-person shooters,
Yes.
where it was fun above realism.
Yes.
I want to dual wield 2 shotguns that have ricochet bullets because I can.
Well, right, and it brought me back to the days of Return to Castle Wolfenstein. You know, of course, if you're Gene Wilder, it's Wolfenstein. Somebody got the,
Gee, wow,
you know what?
hilarious.
Sorry, Ivan. You actually, I have to give you some credit. You do not, to me, scream, I'm 23 years old, or going to be 23 years old. You actually are much more mature than what your actual age is. So for a moment, I thought you might get that reference. Enrique, he immediately got it.
Of course, they got the young Frankenstein
Well,
reference.
Okay,
I'm closer
okay.
to age,
All right, good,
I'm
good. I salute you for that. I couldn't get anything out but Steen. Because Wolf, I mean, Wolfenstein. I don't know how you do it. But anyway, there is another game that nobody's talking about that could be due for a sequel or some sort of reimagining, and that's Rage.
Yes, good call.
Nobody has talked about that. And even
All right,
yesterday, yeah, I mean,
I could
Rage
see
wasn't
that.
a bad game. It was
No.
I think if anything, because John Carmack and his mega texture thing, that was really his almost experimental game with that. Um, it was a little ambitious, and I have heard people say it didn't really. I mean, I liked it. It didn't. Some people didn't think it quite translated to consoles really well. But you're talking about consoles that had 256 to 512 meg of memory in it. Now you're talking about PC-based consoles. I'm not saying a remaster, but they certainly could be working on Rage 2.
Yeah, but they also, maybe they are now, but you got to remember I thought I know they were working on Rage 2 and then they stopped doing it because of Doom 4. But
Right.
No.
Oh, Quake. They could roll out Quake.
they could do Quake.
Yeah, they could. Because they are bringing back Unreal Tournament, but I don't think that's Bethesda doing it. But I mean,
No,
that's
that's Epic.
yeah, I
that's
don't know. I
epic.
know it's not Bethesda, but I mean, hey, it is the time for old shooters to be reborn. We
Well,
got a Doom, we got Unreal Tournament. I mean, we just had a Wolfenstein.
and we have no reaction. Nobody? Hexen? Seriously?
Nope. I didn't play
Holy
it.
crap. Wow. I am old.
Yeah,
I have realized now that I am that old.
I did
Wow.
not play that.
Hexen was really good. It was a little more, it was a bit more, it was like so the original game, it was published by id, but it was done by Raven Software, who did a lot of good stuff back in the 90s. Um, it was actually a sequel to a game called Heretic. And it basically was this was more of a spell-casting first-person shooter, so it wasn't your shooty bang bang. This was a lot more, trying to think of the word. It was a lot more mystical, a lot more supernatural than anything else. You actually, in Hexen, you got to pick a class. So you could be like you could be a standard fighter, but you could also be a cleric or a mage. So you got a chance to be, to shoot fireballs and stuff like that. It was based off of the Doom engine. Um, but you could jump in it, which Doom you couldn't jump. But it didn't have like moving walls or things like that. I mean, it was basically you had your map set, and I can't remember, but I don't think it had level design like stackable level design. Like I don't know if you guys remember Doom. Doom never had levels on top of each other like you see now. Um, I don't think Hexen did either. I'm getting off the beaten path though. This is what happens to me. I begin to reminisce about the old days, and then I start feeling old, and the gray starts coming back into my beard. So, all right. So we'll keep an eye on Bethesda. And the last thing I had, and this just kind of popped up. I think this popped up today, or at least it popped up while I was out earlier this evening. There is. Let me bring this up. So, Square is about to show off Final Fantasy 15 to the masses on March 30th at the Shrine Auditorium in LA. They are taking ticket sales, I believe, and the guys from Kind of Funny Games, Greg Miller, Game Over Greggy, and Tim Geddes, are going to be dropping the bomb on what Final Fantasy is. So they're uncovering Final Fantasy 15. And I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think Enrique, I think you talked Final Fantasy here and there. I think. I don't even know what the hell number they're really on. I guess 15 is the latest number that they're up to. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy. I never was. So you guys are going to have to explain this to me.
1 second. I don't even know any at this point.
And there will be a live stream, and you can. Here's all the travel info. I don't know if there's anything of note. So that's what's going on. They're uncovering Final Fantasy 15, which, in the true spirit of Square giving out information, usually means they're not going to give out much information.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't care about Final Fantasy. I don't care about a lot of Japanese games that come out, especially nowadays. It's just not my kind of thing. I just don't particularly care for it.
Young gamer, Mike.
Well, I wasn't a Final Fantasy guy either, and I'm 42, so.
Yeah, but you grew up playing like a lot of the Sega games, a lot of the JRPGs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure you're probably excited for Valkyrie Chronicles come out then, right?
Yeah, man. Now my big RPGs though were still like the working design stuff, Lunar, Silver Star,
Mm-hmm.
Grandia. I wasn't as much into the Sega based ones. There was one for the Genesis called Landstalker that I really liked, but as far as the ones that were on Sega CD and then what little came out for the Saturn, it was mostly the working designs stuff that came over from Game Arts in Japan
Mm-hmm.
that I was really into. Grandia 2 was such a masterpiece.
Granny was good, yeah.
Yeah, and Lunar the Silver Star was also that added a soundtrack that almost made me cry. So those are the games where the soundtrack I keep on my hard drive to just play in the
Yeah.
background when I want to, those are the days that Ivan you don't understand because you're just young.
All right, they're over 50 games into this Final Fantasy series. Jeez,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why I can't even keep up.
this thing needs to die. I'm sorry. I believe that old games that have overstayed their welcome, like it should have been a clue when you got up to Final Fantasy 15. Like,
Well, and that's
maybe
not
make a
even.
few of these games.
Right, but remember, 15 isn't the 15th game in the series either.
But there's over 15 games.
Right, there was 13,
Exactly.
and then wasn't there like 13X2, and then 13 Super.
I know, but I mean, still, I mean,
You know,
There's
even
been a
then, I'm
lot.
just saying, like, I personally believe that games, they shouldn't really go past 5. There's some rare occasions where you can argue that yes, it warrants going past 5, maybe to 8, but 15 or more.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I,
Maybe
I'm
because
excited.
I'm just the young whippersnapper in the room, but I don't know. I just really like even Call of Duty, like the same thing. They stopped numbering them for a reason.
right.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be a badge of honor. Hi, we've made you buy 13 games now each
Well,
year.
and then you had, so this is funny because if you read Wikipedia, so they talk about, the original NES had Final Fantasy, and then Final Fantasy 2, and then Final Fantasy 3. Then the Super Nintendo had Final Fantasy 4, but in North America it was released as Final Fantasy 2, and Final Fantasy 5 in Japan was Final Fantasy 5. Okay, Final Fantasy 6 in Japan was Final Fantasy 3 in North America. Final Fantasy 6 was on the PlayStation. That's when the PlayStation picked up the franchise from them being a Nintendo franchise. And then it went to Mystic Quest 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 or X, X2, 11, 12, Tactics, Vagrant Story, 3, or 13, Fabula Neva Crystallis, Final Fantasy, X 13-2, Lightning Returns, 14, well, not done, Realm Reborn, which was a remake, the Final Fantasy 15, originally a spin-off titled Versus 13. So, oh, that's right. There was supposed to be a whole Versus one that never came out. So that's now Final Fantasy 15. And then that's not the spin-offs and the remakes and sequels. So there's Final Fantasy Legend, Legend 2, Legend 3, Adventure, Mystic Quest, Tactics. There is just a ton of Final Fantasy games out there. So yeah, I can't even. That's why I can't even keep up. I don't even know all the games. There are people much more savvy than me that can tell me what all of these games were about. I don't even know what they're
No,
about.
you know it's a bad thing when there are more installments of your game than years since you released.
Right.
They're going to have their 30th anniversary next year. That's 29 years right now, and there are more games than years.
I know. I know.
At least
And,
Call of Duty had some decency.
well, yeah, but this is also Square's bread and butter. This is before the Enix part of Square came along. This was really their bread and butter series. I mean, this was what Square was known for. And then of course they pulled in the Hitman series and all of that when Enrique's back. Enrique, you've been dropping in and out a little bit there.
Oh no, my wife came down.
Oh, well, she's welcome to say hello.
No, she's like
No, no,
she's no,
no.
she's what?
No.
No,
She's like, it's almost 11:30 or 12:30. What are you doing down here?
Right. Oh, she knows.
no, she was just
She's
she was
like
just
my
cutting
wife.
down.
She knows what we're doing. But
No, she was
that
cut.
was really Square's bread and butter before they bought or before they merged with Eidos, and then they brought in, of course, Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and Legacy of Kain and that kind and Thief and stuff. But
Yeah,
that really was their bread and butter series for a long time. It just like I said, I don't care one way or another. If people clamor for Final Fantasy, you can give them Final Fantasy 87. I just don't know what they're about, and I don't know what number we're really on because they just, like I said, Final
We're
Fantasy
on
4 was
15.
right. Well, but it was supposed to be 13 versus 13. So, is 16 going to be Final Fantasy 8.6? I mean, and they're remaking, and they're remaking 7. So
7, yeah.
twice. This is the
Mike, well,
second. This is the second remaster of 7, isn't it?
w- yeah, it is. Well, Mike, you remember Enix was known for Dragon Quest or
Yeah.
Dragon Warrior. It was known Dragon Warrior here in the States. So, and I think that series had like a bunch of, you know, numbers to it.
Dragon Quest and Star Ocean was their other
And
big one.
Star Ocean, you're right. In Star Ocean, yep.
Ugh.
I
And
think
they
Star Ocean only went
actually,
up to
yeah.
3 though.
Well, yes. I can't keep up. I'm getting too old, guys. I can't keep up. So, all right, dude. We have covered a ton of material tonight. Um, is there anything else that you guys have going on that you wanted to bring up before we call it a night?
I just want to go get, terrify the piss out of myself playing Alien Isolation.
How is that? Every time it goes on sale, I nearly pull the trigger.
Scary.
I picked it up for $10 with all the DLC in it. So
Oh wow.
even if I don't finish the game, I'm still happy with it. So I'm like, all right, $10. I could try a game for $10, and I love the first movie. It's the only one I've seen at the time, right at this current moment in time. It's the only one I've seen because I came to the series late. I didn't know, like I had seen Aliens like on TV, not Aliens, Alien versus Predator. I had seen that on TV when I was in San Francisco a couple years ago, and I was like, what the hell is this? Is it Alien? Oh, this is cool. so I kind of got into it, and I watched Alien for the first time like over Halloween, and so I like fell in love with the movie. I love the movie. I love everything about it. I love the universe. I love this, the background, the story, the atmosphere, the cinematography, everything about it. And I picked up the game after watching the movie, and I was like, I am really invested in this now. And so I'm playing it, and like the first little bit, like you go through what essentially is the original ship. It's a recreation of it. It's definitely an experience. It's so much fun to see that space to scale, and at the same time, it's because you know what you're facing. They do a really good job of atmosphere so far. So far, like I have not. I've seen Alien for the first time in 2 hours, and I've been scared every other time. It's not even in there. The aliens had not even appeared yet, and I was scared.
All right, all right. That's one that I'll probably end up with. I actually, I did pick up for $15. I picked up Rise.
Mm.
I had
Oh,
to
that's
get
good.
the Legendary Edition, and
Have you
I am
played it before?
definitely. Oh yeah, I beat it,
Yeah. Okay.
and I had to go back and get it because I actually borrowed it from a friend and played it. He wasn't playing it, and I once it was $15, I had to have it. So the other thing I'm gonna start getting into is I did the first chapter of King's Quest, and um, that playlist is up on Next Level Gaming. But I bought the season pass, so it's time to get started on chapter 2, and that'll be my next set of streams until something comes along for me to play. Um, what else? What are you guys playing right now before we wrap up? Ivan, what are you playing other than
Alien
Alien Isolation?
Isolation and Ark. So
Ark.
yeah,
All right. Still
Uh,
cranking away on that, huh?
yep. Still playing. About to break the 100th hour, and the game's not even officially out yet.
Damn, that's
wow.
impressive.
Yeah, that's impressive.
What are you playing, Enrique?
Well, I was playing the Division beta, um, but I'll go back to Rainbow Six Siege. I actually picked that up a couple weeks ago. Have some buddies playing that online, and I'm playing a little bit. I actually went back and started playing The Last of Us, the remaster for the PlayStation 4, because that was one of my favorite games last console generation. I picked it up, started playing that again,
Trying to get that
and then
platinum?
what's that?
Trying to get that platinum?
Trying to, yeah. And then I started playing Unravel. which I really like.
Yeah, we were talking about that slightly earlier before we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I streamed out the first two levels as well, thanks to EA Access. Yeah, I'm definitely buying that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I really like it a lot.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right, well, guys, man, the time just rolled by. I mean, we
Yep.
really this was another great podcast. I really enjoyed definitely having you on, Ivan. You bring a good wealth of knowledge with you. And real quick, give everybody who hadn't joined us at the beginning a just one last once over of the Multiverse podcast.
We're a podcast that meets on Mondays at 9 p.m. We do actually something that not a lot of other people do. We do seasons. What we'll do is we'll do like 10 weekly episodes, or 10 or 13, depending on how we feel. We'll do 10 or 13 weekly episodes on Mondays at 9 o'clock Eastern. We'll do this, and then we'll stop for like a month or two, and then come back and do another season, and we'll stop for a month or two, and then do another season. Something along those lines. And it originally started when I did something called the VCast. It was mostly devoted to having random people on to have their say, to finally have their moment in the sun, to get something off their chest and say what they want. Uh, Eventually, that evolved into I did another podcast called The Multiverse initially, and that was more of a comics podcast, but I mixed both of them together for now, and it'll probably end up staying the way it is now, where we still take the spirit of both of those. We still talk about comics, but we also bring in movies. We talk about video games, mostly video games, and we'll talk about maybe sports or other comic stuff as well. But at the same time, we still keep with the VCast spirit, where we start. We still have random people on every episode. So one week it might be something like, oh, we have some random nobody you've ever heard, and then next week we might have Broken Games HD or something like that, like some big guy, some small guy, and it alternates. It's a pretty fun dynamic. It's something you guys should definitely check out. We are the greatest podcast on Mondays.
Yeah, I've actually I actually do listen to it. I enjoy it. Um, One day I'll get on when my wife allows me to get on a podcast that early. As you can see, there's a reason. There's really a reason I start at 10 o'clock. Um, and it looks like Enrique dropped off. I don't know if maybe his wife pulled the plug on his Xbox or pulled a plug on his computer. Um, but
It's
for those
past midnight. What are you doing?
so for those who don't know, Enrique Castellanos, he was a former co-host of the Next Level Gaming podcast. He went off to do his own thing. He has the Basement Radio Arcade podcast. On the right-hand side of our page, actually, both of you guys, on the right-hand side of your page, of our page is our podcast family. You guys are both listed on there. Please subscribe to the Multiverse Podcast, to Anchorman's channel, and to Basement Radio Arcade. Also, I put your link to your channel down in the description below, so please do
Oh,
that. Um, and so for us, as always, like and subscribe. You got to like and subscribe. If you don't like and subscribe, I can't keep bringing content. Guys, we need subscribers. That's about as blunt as I can make it. I either need subscribers or you guys got to start pitching in some money. One of the two. So make it easy and subscribe. Um, the guys in the chat room, once again, I got to say, this has been now a month that we figured out how to do the chat room. And ever since it opened up, it has been nothing but awesomeness. The people that are in there, you guys are really making this great, and I don't mind saying it a second time. So, Eric and Aiden and Nintendo Superior and Morganism, Drunken Master D, of course, Enrique was, and you and I were in there too. Uh, just just great stuff. Enrique said Google Chrome froze up. So um, anyway, so subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to Anchorman and Basement Radio Arcade. Follow us on Twitter at OG_NL Gaming. That's where we tweet a lot of our news and things like that, so you get a little more of the news of the day. Follow us on Twitch, also at OG_NL Gaming, as we're streaming stuff before it hits YouTube. And Ivan, once again, thank you for coming on tonight and being a part of the Next Level Gaming podcast. I really enjoyed it. Enrique popped back in, but I've already pimped your channel, man. So don't worry, I got you. So, but Ivan, thank you so much for coming on tonight, and I definitely want to have you back on, get you into our guest host rotation. Even when as Sean comes back, we're going to be rotating people in.
Oh, sure, anytime.
So, Enrique, is your mic back on yet?
Yeah, you know what, man? I used Google Chrome tonight, man. I shouldn't have done it, man.
I'm actually, believe it or not, of all things, I've come full circle. I'm actually using Internet Explorer again.
Wow.
Google Chrome locks up, and it actually, when I was testing out screen sharing 2 weeks ago, Google Chrome actually logged my computer out when I tried to screen share. And Firefox just takes up all of my CPU usage. So, of all things, I'm back to using Internet. Edge is horrible. Edge has got to be the worst browser I've ever seen. But Internet Explorer, the tried and true, it's been working great. And not only have I had the Google Hangout open and doing screen share, but I've had a second Internet Explorer open with 17 different tabs. Not a problem. So, really weird. Anyhow.
Yeah.
So Enrique, thanks for jumping in midway and talking some Division and Destiny and betas and stuff with us. Yep. And I've already, like I said, I already pimped out your podcast. So you're good.
Did you get the name right?
Yes, I learned your name. I got it. So anyway, guys, thanks for coming on, and for all of our wonderful people, chat room, all the people who are listening live, all the people who are going to listen later on and catch this on YouTube. As I always say, have a wonderful game-filled weekend. Have a great week. Play on, gamers.